Bill Gates. Everyone knows the name. Some call him a genius, others call him ruthless. But what if I told you that behind all the polished interviews, the billionaire title, and the carefully curated image, there's a chapter of his life that almost nobody talks about. A chapter filled with strange, late-night experiments, secret government calls, and a mysterious figure who kept appearing just when Gates thought he was finally in control. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, that's exactly the point. Because what happened during Microsoft's rise to the top is not the story you think you know. Picture this. It's the mid-90s. The tech world is exploding. Everyone wants a piece of the future. Companies are fighting tooth and nail to dominate. And in the middle of this storm stands Bill Gates, trying to turn his company, Microsoft, into something unstoppable. But here's the thing nobody knew at the time. Gates wasn't just battling competitors like Apple or IBM. No, he was dealing with something much darker, something that made him question who was really pulling the strings. It started with small things, files disappearing from Microsoft servers, confidential projects leaked to competitors, engineers whispering about strange bugs appearing in their code that no one admitted to writing. At first, Gates brushed it off. In business, paranoia was common. But then, one night, while working alone in his office, Gates opened a folder on his computer that he didn't recognize. The folder wasn't supposed to exist. Inside it was a single file named "You're Not in Control." Creepy? Absolutely. Gates stared at the screen, wondering if it was some prank by an employee. But the deeper he dug, the more unsettling it became. The file contained pages of text, warnings, predictions, and even private notes Gates had written on paper, notes that had never touched a keyboard. How could someone have them? He tried to delete the folder. It came back. He tried shutting down the system. The file reappeared, and every time it did, the message got longer. One line kept repeating, "The future is written, and you're just a player." Now here's where it gets stranger. A week later, during a closed-door meeting with US government officials, Gates was handed a sealed envelope. Inside was a simple question typed on a single sheet of paper. Do you control your code, or does it control you? No explanation, no signature, just that. From that moment on, Gates couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was watching every move he made. Even his closest colleagues noticed the change. He stopped sleeping, he became obsessive about security, and he started carrying around a black notebook everywhere he went. People thought it was filled with business strategies, but in reality, Gates was using it to track patterns, dates, times, strange coincidences. For example, whenever Microsoft was about to release a groundbreaking product, this mysterious interference would spike. Anonymous faxes, power outages, code glitches that seemed almost intentional. And then came the mysterious visitor, a man in his early 40s, dressed sharply, who showed up unannounced at Microsoft headquarters. No one remembered signing him in, no record of his arrival. Yet somehow he made it past every layer of security and walked straight into Gates's office. He introduced himself only as Mr. Gray. What did they talk about? That's the part Gates never shared publicly. But according to a former Microsoft engineer who later spoke anonymously, Gates came out of that meeting pale, shaken, and whispering, "They know everything, even the things I haven't built yet." Here's the curiosity gap for you. Who exactly was Mr. Gray? Was he some government agent testing Gates's paranoia? A rival tech giant playing psychological games? Or something even harder to explain? Nobody knows, but from that day forward, Gates made a series of decisions that seemed odd. For example, he suddenly shifted resources away from a secretive project codenamed Neptune. Insiders said Neptune was meant to be a revolutionary operating system, something that could have changed the entire course of computing. But just as the project was nearing completion, Gates ordered it buried. Why? He never gave a clear reason. Some believed it was technical issues. Others believed he was warned. And here's the kicker. A decade later, fragments of Neptune's code mysteriously surfaced on underground forums, attached to messages eerily similar to the ones Gates had found in that strange folder years earlier. "You're not in control." Same words. Same chilling handwriting style font. Let me ask you something. If you were Gates at that moment, what would you do? Would you fight it, expose it, risk everything to prove you were still in control? Or would you do what he did, play along, adapt, and keep the public version of the story clean? But wait, it gets even weirder. Around the early 2000s, when Gates announced he was stepping back from Microsoft's daily operations, many thought it was a personal decision. Burnout, philanthropy, wanting to shift focus. But what if I told you there's another theory? Some insiders insist Gates stepped away not because he wanted to, but because he had to. Because he realized the deeper he went into tech, the more he was tangled in this unseen web of influence. And the notebook, that black notebook he carried everywhere. After Gates officially retired from his role at Microsoft, the notebook vanished, never recovered. Some claim it's locked away in a private vault. Others think it was destroyed. But a former employee swears that in one of its final pages, Gates had scribbled a haunting question. If I didn't write the code, then who did? Now here's where the Zeigarnik effect kicks in. You're probably thinking, okay, but what happened next? Did he ever figure it out? Did the messages stop? And the truth is, nobody outside Gates' inner circle really knows. What we do know is that even today, in interviews, if you pay attention closely, there are moments where Gates hesitates when asked about the early days of Microsoft. Like he's carefully choosing what not to say. And the story doesn't end there. Some of Gates' closest aides noticed subtle changes in him. He started taking unexplained trips, meeting shadowy figures in undisclosed locations, even communicating with engineers under pseudonyms to protect his projects. Gates began encrypting every communication, often speaking in codes with his trusted inner circle. Rumors spread that some of the software developed in those secret labs was capable of analyzing behavior on a massive scale, predicting patterns that could influence decisions before people even made them. No one outside that room could confirm any of it, yet the signs were everywhere. When Microsoft released certain updates, they included hidden layers and backdoors that only Gates and his team understood. Competitors scratched their heads. Government agencies took notes. And through it all, Gates remained outwardly calm, almost untouchable, smiling in interviews, attending charity galas, speaking at conferences. But behind that calm exterior, he carried a secret war, one that might have changed the entire landscape of global power if it had been exposed. So here's the cliffhanger I'll leave you with. Bill Gates, one of the smartest men alive, built an empire that reshaped the world. But behind the scenes, he may have been caught in something far bigger than business, bigger than technology, maybe even bigger than governments themselves. The question is, what was it? And now, I'll throw it to you. Do you think Gates was just paranoid, dealing with burnout and the pressures of running a massive company? Or do you believe there really was something or someone trying to control him from the shadows? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I'm curious. If you were in his shoes, what would you have done?